Hi, so in today's video, just checking the light. Maybe that's better. So in today's video, I'll be telling you more about um, double encounters. So I would say whenever I had a meeting with a Jewish boy, then that meeting would be recompensated or somehow, made the second time in a very similar way with the gypsy man. So most of my life I was unfortunately approached by the gypsy, but it happened that that some experiences were very similar with the Jewish and the gypsy. So it starts with meeting Damian. So I think it was before I met Camille, so I was younger than 13 years old. And the first time I met him, he just asked me for a dance, and we were dancing in the village at the party. And he asked me for the second dance, and I just got scared. Really, really scared. Like everybody was looking at us, and my aunt wasn't happy about us dancing, like as if I did something wrong. Just like with the pedophile that hugged me, and it was my fault. So, so I ran down the stairs. And just when I was running down the stairs, there was already, my cousin's friend, and they were waiting with me with a new boy to meet, and that was Darek. So Damian was Damian, and then was Darek, and they were both of similar height, and they were both bald, and they both had dark brown eyes, so they were pretty much similar actually. And Derek asked me to go for a walk, and then we went for a walk, and he wanted to kiss with me, and I didn't want to kiss with him. And that was pretty much it. It was everyone was fine with the fact that I was going away with a boy when actually we were in the village, so we were going into the darkness, and nobody was making a deal out of it. Something was, yeah. So yeah, and once we got back, I would say my visual perception, I could still see Darek, on the stairs, standing on the stairs of the building, but my perception was a little bit skewed as well. Like, yeah. And I wanted to go back, but I was told that we were going home and the party was over. So next time we went with the girls to yet another party. It was in the open air, and I was just basically dancing on almost empty dance floor and having fun just on my own. I don't know where was my cousin and her best friend, somewhere around sometimes, but most of the time they would be not on the dance floor. And when we were coming back, Damian joined us, and he gave me a piggyback ride. So because I was coming back happily, but I had this pain in my legs, which is a little bit unusual, I would have to say. So he gave me this piggyback ride, and I just told him um, to let me go off, to not to be too heavy for too long, and he said like, okay, we can just a little bit more, and yeah, and then later, actually, you know what, I actually had some feelings that was unusual, and later on, um, this experience was exchanged with, because Darren was Jewish, or replies or not exchanged, but a similar experience was, I would say, artificially manufactured. So we went with the girls, visiting some friends of them, and there was this older man who just took me on the piggyback, and I could just reach for some cherries from the tree, and yeah, that was the piggyback ride from the Gypsy Man. But yeah, I have to tell you, on sitting on him, I really felt a little bit uncomfortable and ashamed. So when it comes to the Gypsy experience, yeah, this is how you know they are Gypsy. Um, Not to be unfair, but there were quite a lot of people just entering my life without my permission quite so often. So what can I say? I just experienced their culture, and just the fact that I am Gypsy doesn't mean that I still act like these people do, or it doesn't mean that that was my identity, like from the very first years I was told so and it was cultivated. No, it was kept a secret, and just the fact that we are white makes it very easy for us uh, to hide the identity, actually. um, and then so what I have to tell you here is that um, when I didn't kiss with this gypsy boy Darek, I was asked why didn't we kiss. But most of the time, when referring to kissing, girls would just talk about licking. Licking. Did you lick with this guy? Did you not lick with this guy? Which actually changes the perspective of how you start to perceive those things, like more objective, like more like you are an object, and like more like it's just licking, just testing, trying, and experiencing, and so nothing serious, right? I think that word brings all those meanings in the experience, I would say. Yeah, and then I saw Damian for the third time on the raspberry field, and we just went to his raspberry field. We were picking up berries, and it somehow popped out, like a thought occurred that I didn't have the context. Like, is it somebody they are close to and they know they can do that? Like, did they text a friend and they ask? I didn't have a context at all. So um, it occurred in my mind. And then, when I saw Damian approaching us, then it occurred yet again in my mind, like, oh, we didn't even ask. Yeah, we didn't even ask if we could pick up his raspberries. We just entered the field and started picking up raspberries. So, I gave Damian some raspberries, some his raspberries, and he was just a little bit stunned. And and as I didn't utter even one word when standing in front of him, um, so I thought that one day if I had something to share, then I would share, because when I was standing with that hand, I also thought like, oh, okay, so I'm giving you your raspberry, like, you know. So I've been thinking. So today, this is a little bit unusual, but this is what I have because I don't have much. And one day when I have, um, then maybe I would share. So I have to tell you, if you look at the previous videos, you'll see how hard some people worked on, building in me the mindsets of, not having enough money and so on and so on. But it was artificially manufactured and done on purpose. Um, but you can always, share your time with someone, your attention with someone, and, some good uplifting words. Maybe it sounds funny, but for me it was always more important. But I just didn't see it most of my life. So what was important, or what talents I really should explore, or yeah. So when Daman saw the raspberry I gave him, he started to even, collect more raspberries with me, or maybe he started to collect the raspberries for me, and I just shared with him like that. Um, so he gave me more and more, and he could gather them very quickly, And when coming off this little hill, um, I was walking with the girls, and I was told by Bashka that I should give her the raspberries because I would make my jumper dirty, which jumpers were and clothes were important back then to me, but I kind of didn't. Probably I didn't want to, and she didn't give me back those raspberries. So somehow, for these people, for the gypsy, the physical aspect is also important. So the real physical gift that I have received in the form of raspberries, it was important for them to take it and never give it back. Uh, and we quite often sat and played with corn, that we used to go to the cornfield. That yet again we didn't know whom it belonged to, so this was clear for me that this was a theft. And we would take a few corns, and we would just make dolls out of them and make some styling, cutting hair and so on. And then it happened that Bashka would say that she had to take it home. And I think it happened too that she didn't give them back. But they always stayed there. I never take them home to my hometown town. So yeah. And later I had yet another Jewish boy who was a ticket inspector. And I have to tell you that later in my life, when I had Jewish boys approaching me, they had to just approach me with the way that is to scare me with ticket inspector, or to make me fight for a man with being surrounded by a lot of girls. So yeah, so the ticket inspector. Um, when he met me, that was a time when I actually, when I kept on meeting ticket inspectors, and I kept being scared, and I kept paying financial punishments, all the time, and even finding the name of the street, and then taking the tram and going to pay this bill, and oh, that was just horrible too. So yeah, that's a lot of stress when the ticket inspector enters the tram and you don't have a ticket. So I don't know why I kept doing that. That was just stupid. But he was a ticket inspector, and he scared me because it turned out I didn't have a ticket. That means I couldn't find a ticket, because I knew this time I bought the ticket. And I told him that that was my last platform and I was leaving. And he said he was leaving too. So it was really unhappy. I was unhappy. Yeah. And then on the pavement, I had to take out all the things that I had in my bag. I just threw it away, and there were a lot of things because there were, flashcards for students, and there was a book, and there was some other, there was some trash in it too. And I went through, all of it, and also the content of my wallet, and it wasn't there. And I went through the content of my bag a few times because I was sure it was there, but I was stressed because I didn't know how long would he wait for me searching. And I was kind of aware of people looking, and the worst part for me was actually the train. So I was thinking about the time and the train. So when I finally found the ticket in my wallet, I was like, how come? Like, it's impossible. But at the same time, I was like, I don't have the time to think about it now, right? And when he asked me for a date, then I was like so angry. Like, nobody made me so angry. Really. So I couldn't forget it. And then later, I met him 2 more times. So I met him uh, on a tram yet again. So that was his place of work. So kind of obvious. But when he entered, I had a thought that occurred in my mind that you like him and you know it. And I was like, yeah, but but I was also scared. So when only the tram stopped, I just left the tram, and I have to tell you that the tram stopped very quickly without even reaching its own destination, like its own next stop. Because when I left the tram, I had to walk through other, rails, and I was like, hey, this tram stop is very far away from that, honestly, it's always designed that way, that the tram stops right in front of the stop, right in front of it. You don't have to walk like, other rail trails, you know what I mean. So, for me, when I look at it from the perspective of time, it looks like, um, it looks like occultists just didn't want me to have a Jewish boy. So the third time I met him, I was eating fries, and he was at the tram stop. I was eating fries, and I was thinking that I eat like a piggy or something. So that wasn't good. And since since the moment of the raspberry, Jewish people kept on checking, like, you could come and share. And how was Kinga with sharing. It was it's not even about sharing with the boy that you like, but it's about, being scared of the feeling. That was the thing. And yet with Capricorn, when I met him in the bar, I had this beer that I started, and my sister obviously wanted to go home as fast as possible because I met a Jewish boy. And I was standing in front of them and thinking, oh my God, do you feel that energy? Do you feel that something? And she's like, let's go home. And they are like, maybe you should leave your beer here. And I am like, no, but the beer is started. The beer is, it's not nice to leave the beer. Well, okay, so what I think happened here um, is the fact that once you give something to someone, then that thing may appear in the future, right? Once you give, then you will give once again, right? It's possible. So I think they were checking if, in the future I would come to them with the book, and I did. So without leaving, because I was thinking, like, the something with regard that, the it's an aesthetic, and maybe even dirty to leave your started beer to an unknown person that you like. But as I met a Capricorn with my sister, then I met with my sister an Arabic boy too. Mm. Oh, I think I'll tell you more about it later on. Okay. So I told you about the ticket inspector. And because I'm telling you about those double experiences that I had. So as I had this ticket inspector who wanted to go with me on a date, then I had a police officer when I crossed red light street. I crossed the street on the red lights, and a policeman who was writing for me a fine asked me for a date, but at the same time, he looked a little bit aggressive. Oh my God. Yeah. So, no. And then when I used to go to photography classes, there was Kuba, but Kuba was coming surrounded with girls. And one time I had to take photos of his girlfriend or his friend. Oh my Oh my. And that was the time when I was asked if I would share the photos when I just made the photos. But I just couldn't, of course. Ah, yeah. Welcome to the girls' world. But I know why I was asking if I could share the photos. So my fortune teller, who is a Jewish girl, she told me that I would have two boys to choose from, and I would choose the one who wouldn't like to afford his own beer, and the one who would be a good boy, then would be the one that would appear. It would just appear that he's a womanizer, like everything would indicate that. And she was right, because I actually chose between two men. And then when I saw Kuba, when I went to the photo exhibition in Tav, and I saw him, then I was like, thinking to myself, and a thought appeared in my mind, like, you already have a boyfriend. What do you want? And I was like, well, well, he was right. But in my thoughts, I went like, but he was stupid. My boyfriend was stupid. Yeah. Um, yeah. Okay. So I think, yeah, there was one more boyfriend, my future boyfriend, from a club, but I already told you about him. But they too come in, supposedly, into um, yeah. So I'm not telling you more today. So if you want to learn more about the way the system is built, if you want to learn more on how I was discovering the work of covert hypnosis on me, if you want to learn more about symbolism and gypsy magic, then drop me a line at elkinga788@gmail.com. Piglet is for free till 28th of July, and you can still have it for free. So carry up and let me know that you want it. And then if you want to check out my course, Amelia, then click the link in the description of the film, and you will find all the info in there. You will find it on my website, my Facebook, and Instagram accounts. So if you like this video, like, share, and subscribe. And what did I click? And thanks for watching.